Very beginning of our course, we have chapter 1, demand, supply, and equilibrium, the name of this chapter. And we started with the basic concept. The basic concept of economics starts with definition of economics. So here, if we take a look at this definition, we see that there is a vital word which is called scarce resources, scarcity. So this word scarcity is the fundamental of all economics definitions. So economics starts with scarcity. So we know that our resources are limited. Scarcity means limited resources. The resources are limited, but our wants are unlimited, or actually not limited. So when there is an unlimited resources, I mean limited resources but unlimited wants, then we have to balance between them. Okay, balance between these two. Okay, so this is where economics starts. You see that economics is the study of how societies use, that means utilize, scarce resources, that means limited resources, to produce valuable goods and services within our limit. We have to produce valuable goods and services and distribute them. That means there is also distribution of them, distribute them among different individuals. Okay, so this is what economics is. And the economics is a very vast subject, and it has many different fields. So we can divide our fields into major fields, subfields, major subfields. And these major subfields are: number one, microeconomics; number two, macroeconomics; and number three, development economics. Okay, and there are many fields out there. Maybe you can call it as health economics. I can call it as financial economics. I can call it as labor economics. There are non-major economics courses, but we have taken three major fields of economics. Okay, so what is microeconomics? Microeconomics deals with individual agents, economic agents. Okay, individual economic agents. For example, consumer, producer, then firm, then industry, and finally market. So these are the limit of microeconomics, okay? On the other hand, macroeconomics deals with aggregate economic agent. Aggregate economic agent. That means maybe aggregate economic agents contains a country as a whole. Country as a whole. And this country contains many households, many farms, many industries, many markets are there. Okay, so together all are aggregated. So these are aggregated to become the whole country as a whole. So in micro, I mean, if we see that there is a variable in microeconomics is maybe price of a good, but here in macroeconomics it is price level. Price level, that means average, weighted average, not simply average, weighted average of all goods and services in the country. Goods and services in a country. Okay, so macroeconomics may contain some other variables called inflation. Inflation means I mean change in price level, percentage change in price level. It can discuss unemployment. It can discuss growth or GDP growth. GDP growth. Okay, so that means growth of a country. Of a country as a whole. Okay, so these are the definition of microeconomics and macroeconomics. And what is development economics? Development economics is a separate field, separate from, not separate, actually separate from the some part of macroeconomics and some part of macroeconomics together becomes development economics. And what is development economics? Development economics deals with growth and development of a country. Growth and development issues of a country. Okay, and in our syllabus we are going to discuss only 1 and 2, not 3. So we are gonna stick with these 2, macroeconomics and macroeconomics, not development economics. And of course we are not dealing with health economics, financial economics, labor economics, etc. Okay, if you are interested to learn about these, you can you can see some reference books so that you can understand them very well. Okay, so let's move forward. So in 1.1.2, that means our next topic is about scarcity, PPF, and opportunity cost. Okay, so because we are dealing with scarcity, okay, we can limit ourselves within a boundary, and this boundary is called production possibility frontier. Okay, so what is frontier? Frontier means boundary. Okay, boundary. Why boundary? Because our resources are limited, so we have to bound our resources. It is not unlimited. It is not the sky limit. Our resources are limited. That's why we have to bound. Okay, so let's suppose we produce, and that means a country produce only two goods. Produce only two goods. There are a lot of goods and services, but for the sake of simplicity, we take only two goods. And these two goods are maybe hardware. So hardware and software. We just produce two goods. One is hardware, another is software. Okay. So how can we bound them? We can bound them by a diagram called production possibility frontier. Okay, so here you see the hardware. In the y-axis, and in the x-axis there is software. Okay, so we can bound them by a boundary. So this is our boundary. We cannot produce more than that. Okay, so if we produce all software but not hardware, we are here. Country produce all software and zero hardware. At this point, country produce all hardware but zero software. In between these 2 points, point number, suppose it is point A and this point B. In between A and B, suppose C is there, D is there, E is there. Okay, so A and B, there are point C, point D, point E. They are combination of hardware and software. Okay, so let's see that this is the this amount of hardware and this amount of software is produced in point C. Okay, if we are in point D, point E, and point suppose S. So what is the meaning of these 3 points? Point D lies on the PPF. Point F lies inside the PPF, and point S lies outside the PPF. What are the meaning of those 3 points? Meaning is if we are outside, suppose we are outside PPF, that means we are out of capacity, or beyond the capacity. Here we cannot produce anything at this point because we are outside the boundary. That means outside because scarcity is there. So out of capacity means scarce because of scarce resources. Okay. What about if it is inside PPF? Inside PPF means that unutilized resources. That means here you see that this amount of hardware is used. Suppose it is 5 unit, and this amount of software is used. Suppose it is 4 unit of software and 5 unit of hardware is produced. But the capacity is this amount of software and this amount of hardware. So that's why if we produce in the point F, we are using, I mean, there are some unutilized resources. But if we are on the PPF, then we use full capacity, okay? Full capacity. And this full capacity is called efficient. That's why this point D is called efficient point. So each and every point on this curve, suppose this is C, point D, point E, all are efficient points. Below the line, all are inefficient points. Above the line, also inefficient point. One efficiency is called out of capacity, and other is called unutilized resources. So out of capacity may be called as unattainable. Unattainable. Not possible. Not possible. Now, how do we explain, opportunity cost? What is the meaning of opportunity cost? Let us draw the PPP again. So suppose this is our PPP, new PPP. And this PPP is concave shaped. Concave shaped. Concave shaped meaning that that means when you, so here we produce all hardware, and here we produce all software. Okay. In between, we produce the combination of software and hardware. Okay. Now, suppose this is 10 unit. Okay. So this is 10 unit of hardware. And suppose we are, we want to, and suppose this is 5 unit. Okay. Maybe we can call it as the 4 unit, and maybe it is 11 unit. Okay. So we want to increase the number of software by 1 unit. Then we have to sacrifice the number of hardware. Okay. Suppose we want to produce another unit of more hardware. So suppose this is 6 unit. So you see that we have to sacrifice another unit. So maybe it is 9, 10, 8. Now, if we want to produce 1 more unit of software, suppose 7 unit, we have to sacrifice some unit of, maybe it is 6. Okay. If we produce 1 more unit, suppose it is 8, we have to sacrifice another some unit of hardware. Okay, suppose it is 4. Okay. All right. So the beauty of concave shape is that the sacrifice is increasing. You can say that it is something like dy dx. So if we want to increase x by 1 unit, you have to sacrifice, you have to give up first 1 unit, then 1 more unit, maybe 2, 1 more unit, maybe again 2. Suppose it is 5, so it is 3. And then suppose it is 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For increase in 1 unit of x, y is decreasing at increasing rate. So sacrifice ratio is increasing. Okay, let me explain again. When you want to increase software by 1 more unit, you have to decrease the hardware because our resource is scarce. Okay, so because our resource is scarce, we cannot increase both at the same time. If we want to increase both at the same time, we need to increase our production capacity. It is production possibility frontier PPF should be shifted. Shift forward. In that case, maybe X can increase, Y also can increase. But if we are on the same production possibility frontier, if we want to increase X, you have to decrease Y. Okay, so this is on the same PPF, and this is shifted PPF. Shifted PPF. Okay, so shifted PPS means that the production capacity increased. So different case. So this idea is called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost means that if you want to gain something, opportunity cost. If you want to gain something, you have to sacrifice the other. And this sacrifice is called opportunity cost. That means you are losing something. Opportunity cost. So why is you have to sacrifice others? Because our resource is limited. Resource limitation. Because of the resource limitation, we have to sacrifice. And this sacrifice ratio is increasing at increasing rate. I mean, decreasing at increasing rate. Y is decreasing at increasing rate, but sacrifice ratio is increasing. Okay, so the rate is increasing. Rate is increasing. Okay. All right. Now, if for some reason the production possibility frontier is straight line, so dy dx is constant. In that case, x increase, Y decrease at the same rate. So sacrifice ratio is constant. Now, when suppose we have got this type of PPF. Okay, so this type of PPF means convex. So convex means dy dx is declining. That means if we increase x by 1 unit, y decrease at decreasing rate. So that's why it is, suppose we have this one for 1 unit, then for second unit maybe this one, for third unit maybe this one, fourth unit maybe this one. So if you see that first this difference is bigger, then smaller, then again smaller, then if we add one more unit of software, then another smaller, so decreasing rate. So normally PPF is shaped concave, and sometimes it is straight line, and other times it is maybe it is rare, so convex. So what is the opportunity cost? Opportunity cost, we can link the idea of opportunity cost with our real life. Suppose you are in my class, so you are gaining something, okay? So you are learning economics, but you have to sacrifice some some surroundings. You sacrifice your afternoon sleeping or nap. Maybe you sacrifice, or you have to sacrifice some watching movies. So these are called opportunity costs. So your opportunity is there, but you are losing this opportunity to get something. So this is the idea of opportunity cost. So this idea of opportunity cost can be explained well by production possibility frontier. Okay. Now, what is the reason for studying economics? Why we should study economics? This is the fundamental question, because you are non-major economics students, but you need to know why you should learn economics. It is not that economics is a very interesting subject. It is not that economics is a boring subject, so you have to avoid it, or an interesting subject, so you jump into study economics. The reason for studying economics is numerous. So in the definition, we understand that why we study economics, because first of all we have limited resources. Okay, limited resources in the world, and our desire is unlimited. Desires are unlimited. So we need to understand, or we need to study the behavior of resources, so that we can minimize our cost, to maximize our satisfaction. Okay. So it's a kind of science to study how to minimize cost. So we need to minimize cost. We need to maximize, we can maximize our satisfaction. So this is double optimization. Or we can maximize our profit, or we can maximize our sales. If we are in business, we can maximize our maybe production. So all maximization depends on minimization of something. Okay, so this idea is called duality. Okay, duality. So if we don't minimize something, you cannot maximize. Okay, so for maximization, you need to understand minimization. So balance between this maximization and minimization is called the subject that teach you how to balance between limited resources and unlimited desire is called economics. So that's why we need to study economics. And this can be applied in CSE, this can be applied in physics, this can be applied in also in other subjects. Okay. And this is the fundamental reason to study economics. Suppose you are a CSE student, so you need to produce, if you want to produce a software, you need to, measure how cost you are going to incur when you are producing something. Okay, so you have to minimize your cost, mean cost. And if you produce some software, you have to sell this software. Okay, sell the software, and your idea is to you are gaining revenue from this. So you need to maximize your revenue, conditional on minimum cost. Okay, so max the revenue or max profit pi. If we if you are dealing with production, then maximize how much what is the optimum amount of production of software, optimum production of software you can produce subject to the given cost. Okay, so you need to study economics for this reason. And also, if you are in economics field, then you need to understand in the production process and consumption process. So that's why you need to study economics. So the fundamental reasons are, we need to understand what to produce, in a country. We need to understand how to produce, and to understand for whom to produce. So these three fundamental questions economics answer. Okay, so three fundamental questions. So what to produce? As a CSE student, you have to produce hardware and software. As a business person, they can produce some goods and services. So what to produce? as a Muslim country, Bangladesh cannot produce wine. Okay, so the problem is solved because you have to produce those things that people can buy or can consume. Okay. Next question is how to produce. So how to produce means that again you have to consider the scarcity problem. So how to produce means with minimum cost, maximum output, or minimum input, maximum output, or maximum profit you are gaining, or maximum revenue you are gaining, or maximum production you are gaining. Okay, so that is the answer to this question of how to produce. And for whom to produce means that you are producing something, but you need to sell it. Okay, so you need to understand for whom you are going to produce something. So suppose you are producing here a rocket. Okay, so if you produce rocket, there is no consumer of rocket in Bangladesh, so you need to sell it to US. Okay, USA or Canada or something like that, or maybe Russia. Okay, you can produce if you have some resources, but you need to know for whom you are going to produce. Okay, in CSE, maybe you are producing AI related goods or ML related goods. So maybe you are not getting much more market in Bangladesh. Maybe you are getting market in US. Okay. So USA is your target market if you are interested to produce AI related good or ML related good. Okay, or maybe a web app. All right. Up to this, that means 1.1.3 is the first class we have